I don't understand how previously we were able to do things like in the deputy clerk's office so frugally at $65.50, and all of a sudden it's $15,000. I don't get it.
Because Sherry's spending a lot more time in there because I'm training her. That's why. Molly was only in there 1 or 2 days a week before.
And they got a pay raise last year.
I understand that.
So we could keep them rather than we'll work at McDonald's. And they did not get a pay raise this year. So there's no pay raises here as far as figures go.
I'm just saying, you know, I don't get it. And $15,000 just is way off the charts. I would consider $7,000. That would allow her for 9 hours in a week. If we were talking about where we were just at, but
Where do you get 15,000? There's 2 spots for office help.
No, you got 50. He's talking about.
We brought up the issue of our deputies also getting paid out of, so I went over to the deputy page. We just were talking about that money.
Well, I'm sure that won't get used this year.
So Sherry started what, in June? Was it in June?
Probably, yeah.
July,
It was
yeah.
June.
May,
So
June or
she's
something.
been on the job for 9 months.
Right.
That is considered still a training period, 9 months in?
Pardon?
That's still a training period, 9 months in? Because I thought before Molly was training her, and that.
No, Molly
we
wasn't
discussed
really training her.
that she was, you know, that she was gonna be all set
No,
on her
because
own.
the only thing Molly can do technically is the cemetery. Because that, I had to get that approved.
If Sherry had some questions when I wasn't here, she would help her out, yeah.
Yes, she would help her out. That was a courtesy from the supervisor department.
That's, I think, a little dangerous line, because I'm telling you what the statutes say.
I know
That
what the
the
statute
deputy-
said, and you told me that Molly could only work with the cemetery, which
Well,
is what you guys approved.
That's exactly how it was explained to us. My point is that her statutory ability within this office is derived from your position, which is the supervisor. So having her do all this stuff under office help is dancing on the line of having a deputy supervisor with her hands in things that she doesn't have the statutory right to do. Just like
So we're leaving the deputies. I guess I'll just say it this way. Deputy supervisor and clerks are sacred cows. Those are not getting touched, is my understanding. Because I think they should get touched.
I would agree.
If we're still having money that can help to balance things, then, I mean, $15,000 from where in 21-22 we paid $65.60. The average taxpayer in this district would probably say if they can't do it for $65.60, then maybe that ain't the right person. But I do understand it's an intricate office.
And it's a pay raise. We raised their pay from like, what were they getting, $12 to $15.50 or
Oh, no,
so?
I get that.
So the difference between 21 and 22 is to keep them. And again, we didn't give them a pay raise this year, which in my opinion, they probably should have got a couple percent just to.
Well, somebody got a pay raise because the budget in 21-22 was $65.60, and this year was $12,295, and we say it's because of training. But
That's the activity, not the budget.
The original budget was 10,000. The
We blew it
activity
away.
was 12,295.31 as of this printing, because obviously there's more that's gonna happen.
But this
Before the end of the year.
10,000 was there before we gave them their pay raise.
The 10,000 was
no,
there.
that was with the pay raise.
With the pay raise, because that's when the pay raise went into account, was this,
That's when it was
this
effective.
22-23 budget, right?
Yeah.
So the 10,000 was taking that into account.
Yeah. Because even now, allows us 452 hours of employee. 452 hours of employee if they're working, we'll say, 9 hours a day. That's 50.2 weeks. We're not even open 52 weeks.
At 9 hours a day? For 4 days a week?
The deputy clerk never worked 4 hours a week. Deputy
4 days a
clerk,
You're talking 9 hours a week.
9 hours a week, I said.
We've been seeing payroll come through for the deputy clerk, on average about 72 to 74 hours a month, which works out to about
Those-
3 days a week.
Yeah, sure,
Sherry's been in here
yeah.
probably 4 days a week.
So,
Or 3 maybe, I don't know.
How is
She
that
don't get
set
here
up?
till 9.
I mean, do you guys have a conversation about who's gonna work what days? Or is it just kinda come in when you want to and you feel like you have something to do? I'm just curious, because, the board's function is to actually put a limit on how much is paid and on exactly what the job flow is for each of the deputies. That is the responsibility of the board as a whole. So if there's no parameters, if it's like, well, just see you sometime next week, or see you every day next week, or just however it falls, I mean, are there any parameters on the schedule?
Nothing really definite. I mean, she does come in Mondays when I'm not here. Definitely, I told her she had to be in on Mondays when I'm not here.
So that's 7 hours.
Other than that, I mean, she usually comes in pretty much every day. It's not strictly 6-hour days. Sometimes she doesn't come in till 10, 11 o'clock, and then goes home at 4.
Okay. So I guess where we're coming at it is, if you have a set number of hours that you are allotted for each week, it sounds like the system is just, however that works out for you, with the exception of Monday, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're looking at, is having some allotment, rather than just turn
So
in
when
your hours
when
and
you're
then you
working
just
for
get paid
somebody
that.
for hourly wage, do they set your hours that you can only work this, or you have to work this?
Yes,
Not normally, not in the shop. When I worked in the shop,
Yeah.
no hours was set.
Yeah.
Every company
No
I
hours
owned, I
was set,
told
believe
them
me.
from 9 to 5, and you were required to take a 1-hour lunch and 2 15-minute breaks.
yep.
Yeah, but if you worked over that, okay. But I mean, you didn't have a definite set hour. You can only work 40 hours this week. No, that's not how it worked in the shop.
But there is a,
Yeah, but
I
the
have
shop
to
is
work 40
Generous
hours a
Motors,
week.
and they're dropping 20,000 people right now.
I don't care what they're dropping right now. I haven't been there for 25 years.
I mean, I'm just going by
Okay,
what
but
people
whatever.
on
Okay.
average are doing.
I'll tell her she can only work so many hours a week then, if that's what you want.
Well, that's what we're having a discussion about.
Whatever.
There should be some type of a limit, because we're the ones that are paying the bill. The taxpayers are paying the bill for her to be here. So, if it's a job
I'll
that
tell
should be
her she can
done.
only work so many hours, and if she wants more, she's gotta see you.
Okay.
Okay.
You know,
That's kind of the whole conversation that we're trying to have. When you put numbers in here, there's not any limit on it.
Well, that's what it sounds like. You want to put a limit on
No.
how many hours she can work.
Well, what I'm saying is, if we look at it like how many hours we would expect somebody to work and budget accordingly, then that then puts parameters on it. If we just throw a big number in there, then we're just going to get a pay sheet once a month that has all of these hours on it, and there's no check and balance on that. So all of a sudden, we've got somebody working, 3 or 4 days a week and turning this in. I mean, that's 20 hours a week, roughly, right? 18, 20 hours a week that are being billed for the deputy clerk. That's not exactly how that's supposed to work. Not for a township this size, and not for the
we're just a
equipment
little
that we
township.
had.
I'm reminded of that all the time.
4 days at 5 hours a day is 20 hours a week. So, I don't understand what the problem is. I mean, that's not, she don't work all day, every day, so I mean, even that.
So if 15,000 is too much, what do you want us to knock it down to?
I wrote down $7,000.
Well, it's gonna be more than 7, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you
Well,
can't.
here's the gig.
Here,
You
what
got
did?
$7,000 right here, and then if we have someone that's doing, she's not doing this, but she's doing office work, or she's over here and she's helping with elections, and it comes out of elections. So, you know, I learned that just because we say there's $10,000 here, doesn't mean that person's making 10,000.
Exactly, but the way you're talking, you think that if there's 10,000 in there, she's gonna spend that 10,000.
Oh, they will, and then some.
Not necessarily.
Last year, we spent $2,295 more.
Right.
But there was extenuating circumstances,
Right.
and that's understandable. But now, we're
9 months.
actually almost a year into this, and she's a part-time employee that's actually, I think, no, she needs 5 more hours. No, if she's working 20 hours, she can go file for unemployment if we cut her hours. Under the law now, it's called underemployment.
She's not quite, I think.
We'll put 10,000 back in there.
10,000 ain't gonna cover it, 21, 22, when there's,
We'll-
when their pay was
we'll work-
less.
Have to work it out, get it from someplace else. We'll put 10,000 in there.
But we've already cut office help. And there isn't even, there isn't really even
It's
office
easy.
help in this.
Sherry's here, and Sherry turns around, and she goes out here and meets somebody at the counter. I've seen you guys do it. And the guy comes to buy a building permit. So Sherry is now writing a building permit out. So part of what's not here,
But you took it out of office help.
no,
Yeah,
there's
sure.
there's still $2,500 in the building department.
So
And
she
if Sherry's
spends
writing,
15 minutes, so she's gotta put
Well,
her
I guess-
hours down 15-minute increments?
The office help that I guess for the building department, how I was thinking was because Shirley does a lot of filing for Dick. She does a lot of stuff for Dick. And for, I think, Bill Rosenbrock when he's here. So that kind of stuff is what I was thinking was gonna go into the office help for. I mean, the writing permits and stuff, I mean, crap, I write permits, so I'm not gonna track all my 10 minutes just to put it to the building. I mean, I think it's the bigger stuff, but that takes more time, you know, the filing and all the stuff that Shirley does for Dick and Bill, that I think should go to the building department.
$10,000. I don't get it, because you know what? If I don't do my job, if I don't show up to do a wedding, I don't get paid. That's my job. And I'm expected to spend so much time with each of those people. That's because I'm who I am. And each person that's elected here has a responsibility.
I'd like to ask a question about the board